Get ready to launch into a deep dive. We're talking about China's space program. Their plans are seriously impressive, even just looking at the next 10 years.
Yeah, they're really going for it, huh?
Totally. We're talking moon bases, mining asteroids, missions to Mars. They even have their eyes on Jupiter.
It's honestly kind of mind-blowing how fast they're moving.
You kind of have to buckle up for this one, right? So it's not just about exploration for China, is it?
Not at all. It's about them becoming like a major power in space. Think rivaling, maybe even surpassing NASA.
Whoa, Space Race 2.0.
You got it.
I like the sound of that. Okay, let's break it all down. Let's start close to home with our good neighbor, the moon. China's change missions have been all over the news, especially with Chang'e 6, right? Bringing back the first ever samples from the far side of the moon. That's huge.
It's incredible. And the really wild part is that those samples are different from what we've seen from the near side. Lighter in color, less dense. There's something going on there.
It's like the moon has two different personalities. What could that even mean?
Well, scientists are freaking out in a good way, of course. It could mean that the far side of the moon has a totally different makeup than the near side.
What, like it formed differently?
There's one theory. It's like imagining the moon being formed from two separate clouds of stuff, each leaving their own mark on opposite sides.
So, by studying these samples, we might actually rewrite the moon's history.
Totally.
Amazing. It's like we've only been reading half the book this whole time. And if that wasn't enough, China's got even more planned. Chang'e and 8 are both set to head to the lunar South Pole in 2026 and 2028. Why the South Pole, you ask?
Excellent question.
Well, I'm guessing it's not just for the view, right?
Not quite. It's all about what's hiding down there. Water ice.
Mm.
And not just regular ice. This stuff could be the key to humans living on the moon for good.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about it. Water ice can be broken down into hydrogen and oxygen. What do you need to breathe?
Air, oxygen,
And what do rockets need?
fuel. You're talking about a lunar gas station.
Exactly. And that brings us to China's next big thing, their International Lunar Research Station, the ILRS.
Hold on. So from collecting moon rocks, we're jumping to a whole moon base. China's playing for keeps.
Oh yeah, they're talking about a full-on research base up and running by the 2030s. And get this, they're inviting other countries to join in.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting, especially with this whole Space Race 2.0 vibe. So they want to work with other countries, but also become the dominant force in space. How does that work?
It's a delicate dance for sure. But hold on, before we get too deep into moon bases, we got to talk about China's other target asteroids. Specifically, one called Kamoa-Olewa.
Ah, yes, the star of their Tianwen 2 mission launching next year, right?
You got it. Now, what's cool about this mission is it's like 2 for 1. First, they're going after Kamoa-Olewa, which is a near-Earth asteroid. Think of these things like leftover building blocks from when the solar system formed.
So by studying them, we're basically looking back in time.
Exactly, like cosmic time capsules.
Hmm.
But wait, there's more. After they snag a sample from Kamoa-Olewa, they're not done. Tianwen 2 is then going to chase down a comet in the main asteroid belt.
Whoa, two completely different space objects in one mission. Talk about multitasking.
They're making the most of it, that's for sure. And, all of this, the moon, the asteroids, it kind of feels like practice for their ultimate goal, Mars.
Yeah.
And they're not messing around. They want to bring back samples.
Tianwen 3, their Mars sample return mission, aiming for launch in 2028 and back by 2031. Talk about ambitious.
Right. And here's the kicker. If they pull it off, they could actually beat NASA to bring back the first ever Martian samples.
Imagine that. Martian samples, maybe even proof of past life, sitting in a lab in China. That's a lot to take in.
Honestly, at this point, I'm surprised they haven't announced plans to build a water park on Europa. You're not wrong to be amazed. They're moving fast. And don't worry, they've got Jupiter on their radar, too. Their Tianwen 4 mission, planned for around 2030, is all about Jupiter and its moons. They're even thinking about swinging by Uranus while they're out there. Plus, they're working on a planetary defense mission, in case we need to deflect an asteroid like in the movies.
Okay, I get it. China is going big. But with all this going on, it makes you wonder, where does this leave everyone else, like the U.S.? This is getting very interesting.
It's a huge deal, no question. It's changing the entire game of space exploration as we know it. This isn't just about curiosity anymore. It's about national pride, tech dominance, even power dynamics, all playing out among the stars.
We're definitely entering a new era, that's for sure. But hey, we'll dive deeper into all of those implications and what it means for the future of space exploration. Right after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. So we were talking about China's big plans in space, and they've mentioned wanting other countries to join them. But when one country is so far ahead, how does that even work? Is it a real team effort, or is it more like, we're in charge, but you can come along?
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, right? It's like, on one hand, China's been surprisingly open.
Uh,
They're saying, hey, other countries, you can put your experiments on our spacecraft. We'll share some of the data, even come hang out at our moon base. Like, on paper, that sounds pretty good, right?
yeah, but things aren't always what they seem. It's like that old saying, the devil is in the details. So is this real partnership, or is there a catch? Is China calling all the shots?
I mean, it's probably a mix of both. Here's the thing. This whole being open thing is new for China. Their space program used to be super secretive. So this change could mean they really want to work with other countries because honestly, space stuff is hard, even for a country like China with a lot of resources.
So maybe they're realizing that teamwork makes the dream work, especially if you want to get to Mars and beyond.
Exactly. When everyone shares their smarts and resources, everybody wins, right? But you're right to be a little skeptical. China's space program is a big part of their whole national strategy. Like the tech they're developing, these huge missions they're pulling off, it all makes them look like a really powerful country.
Okay, so how do you see this playing out? Will we all end up working together, sharing data, building moon bases as a team, or will it be more like a competition, everyone trying to be number one?
Honestly, it all comes down to trust, and how these collaborations actually work.
Mm.
Will China treat other countries as equals? Or will there be strings attached? I guess we'll have to wait and see how things develop over the next few years.
It's definitely a really interesting time for space, that's for sure. And if China does even half of what they're planning, it's going to totally change the game.
Absolutely. And it's not just about who gets to a planet first or plants their flag on something. It's about the knowledge we get, the technology we create. Those things can help everyone on Earth.
Totally. It's almost hard to wrap your head around it all. We're talking about water ice on the moon, maybe even finding signs of life on Mars, building bases on other worlds. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
I know, right? But that's the thing. Science fiction is becoming reality. And the next 10 years, well, let's just say it's going to be a wild ride. We're going to see some amazing things. I can feel it.
Speaking of amazing things, we're about to jump into our final thoughts on China's cosmic plans, and believe me, you don't want to miss this. We've been talking a lot about China's plans in space and what it means for, well, everyone. It's a big deal, right? But is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's kind of both, isn't it? I mean, it's like anything else. There are pros and cons. Having another major player in space, especially one as ambitious as China, it's bound to shake things up.
That's for sure. But isn't a little competition a good thing? Like, it pushes everyone to be better, try harder.
Oh, absolutely. Think back to the space race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. It might have been tense, but it also gave us some amazing breakthroughs. I mean, without it, who knows when we would put a man on the moon. So yeah, China being this ambitious could really light a fire under other countries like the U.S. to step up their game, which would be great for everyone interested in space.
Right. Faster progress, new discoveries, all that. But there's another side to this, right? Competition can get out of control. Instead of working together, countries might become more secretive, even start duplicating efforts, wasting resources they could be sharing.
You're not wrong to be concerned about that. It's a real danger. We're already seeing some of that happening, actually. Look at the Artemis Accords. It's supposed to be about countries working together on the moon.
Mm.
But some people say it's actually making things more competitive because the U.S. gets to choose who they want to work with.
So it's all about finding that balance, isn't it? Between healthy competition and actual genuine collaboration. But how do we do that, especially when there's so much at stake?
Well, it has to start with being open with each other, being transparent about what we're doing and why. We might even need to revisit some of the old international agreements about space, like the Outer Space Treaty, and update them for this new era. Make sure everyone's on the same page. But honestly, the biggest hurdle is getting everyone to realize that space isn't about winning or losing. It's not a zero-sum game.
What does that mean, a zero-sum game?
It means one country's win doesn't have to be another country's loss. There's enough space, literally, for everyone to benefit. The discoveries we make, the technology we develop, it has the potential to help everyone on Earth.
That's a good point. At the end of the day, space exploration should be about expanding our knowledge, working together to achieve something amazing. So what's the best case scenario here? What are we hoping for as China continues on this path?
The hope is that China's success will inspire, not divide. That it will usher in a new era of cooperation, where we work together to explore the universe, unlock its secrets, and maybe even find solutions to problems here on Earth.
Now, that's a future worth striving for. Space exploration as a force for good, bringing everyone together. And that, everyone, brings us to the end of our deep dive into China's incredible space ambitions. It's a topic that's going to keep us all on the edge of our seats for years to come, I'm sure. It's been amazing having you with us, and a huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through this fascinating and, let's be honest, slightly intimidating landscape.
It's been my pleasure.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. And remember, no matter what unfolds in the stars above, one thing remains certain. The future of space exploration is a story that's just beginning to be written. Keep looking up.